What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Like I've mentioned in the previous video, we're going to be doing some maintenance on this car. I am planning on doing two things. I was planning on doing three things, but now it's down to two. I'm going to go ahead and replace the spark plugs. It's been about 1,000 miles, and I usually do oil change about around 1,000 miles. The reason being is obviously from the boost, doing some boost pulls and stuff. And as I do the oil change, I also replace the spark plugs. Everybody does it. Excuse me. Everybody does this differently. You may be doing at 500 miles, maybe doing at 3,000 miles. I like to do around 1,000 or 2,000 miles, depending on how much I abuse the car. The reason why I'm doing it at 1,000 miles, one, is because the oil hasn't been changed since it got tuned, and it's been a couple of months or so now. And obviously, it's time. It's time for the plugs to be replaced, and also the oil. The oil is not that bad, but I like to replace it because obviously from all that abuse, from boost pulls and etc., etc. The plugs, I've been noticing that when you're idling and stuff, I've been noticing it sounds like it's popping a little bit. That tells me that the spark plugs are due for a replacement. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace take the spark plug coil pack cover out, which is 8 bolts instead of all 10, I believe. So I already got 2 of them out, and I don't have all 8 in. I think it's all just 6 of them. So I got 2 of them out already. I want to, obviously record and show you the process. It's 6 of these bolts that's holding the cover down, 6 or 5 right now at the moment. And then it's 3 coil packs, which are held by 10mm bolts. And I'm going to go ahead and undo the coil pack wiring. And then to take the spark plugs out, you need a spark plug tool, like the 5/8 is what you need to get the spark plug out. And I'll just use a magnetic pick to go ahead and pull the spark plug out if I can't get it out of that tool. It usually comes with a magnetic spark plug tool. So I'm going to go ahead and start the process, and then I'll show you exactly what I use to gap. This is I don't know exactly where you can get this tool. I've seen it a bunch of times on Facebook and pulling up as an ad and stuff. It's a 14mm. That's what it says on here. You can get this online. I think you can... Excuse me. My cough isn't going away for some reason. You can probably Google this, and you can, 2JZ spark plug gap tool. It's 14mm. If you're wondering. I'm sure there's 2 different kinds I've seen online. I think it's 14 and 16, or maybe 12 and 14. So double check. But this is a 14mm, and I've used this a bunch of times. This actually belongs to my buddy Art. I haven't yet to return it back to him. So I need to actually invest in one of these. I think it's like $65 if I remember correctly last time I saw it. And it's a very useful tool. You just basically put the spark plug in and put that gauge in between the spark plug, and just push this down as much as you can until you reach that spec, this is 0.20. That's what I'll be using for a gap for my spark plugs. And every gap is different depending on how much power you're making. So don't assume that 20 is what I'm using is what you need to do as well. Again, I am making close to 700 horsepower. That's why I'm doing it at 0.20. Everybody's different. Sometimes people do 0.25, maybe lesser than 20. But again, I would ask your tuner if you want to know exactly what you should be doing at what gap. I do it at 0.20. It's probably is not as good in wintertime because E85 and etc. But this is what I rock. So, and then I'll talk to you guys about. Let's just talk about it right now. What kind of spark plugs I use. I use these NGK's 4644. That's a part number right there. I've used this for years and years. I've made a good amount of power with these without any issues. You can get these at AutoZone. It's like $5 now a piece, or $4.50 something. Used to be $2 some change now. All the prices are going up. So this is close to $5 a piece. You need 6, and I have no issues ever getting these from AutoZone down the street from me. Part number again 4644. I've rocked these for years and years, and a lot of people will tell you different kinds of spark plugs. I've tried different versions of NGKs and different kind of spark plugs that people have recommended, and I've had worst luck. And of course, I dropped the whole box. I've talked to Larry at Sound Performance, and he said, don't ever look at the price. Just because it's something expensive doesn't mean that it's going to work great. I've had, cheap spark plugs. I shouldn't say cheap, but this is almost $5 a piece. They work as better than, you know, a $10 or $12, $20 spark plug. So I've had great experience with this. I've actually installed the same spark plugs on that SE build that I've done, and that made close to 700 as well. I believe I made 653 or somewhere around 600 something. So same spark plugs. So this is what I rock. I've had great experience. You know, if you have different spark plugs you had great experience with, you know, go ahead. So let's get started on this. I got a new mount. I lost my other mount during a wedding last week at my sister's wedding. Somebody borrowed it. Now we don't know where it is. So new stand for recording. All right, so I got the mount pretty much. The phone's installed on the mount, so let's go ahead and get started on this. I didn't mention that I was going to do 3 things. I forgot to mention the other 2. Second would be the oil change that I'll probably be doing. I'll show you exactly what weight I'm using and what filter I'm using, which will probably be tomorrow. Right now it's 11:20 and it's obviously at night. And don't feel like doing an oil change at the middle of the night right now, so I'll probably be doing that tomorrow. And the third thing would be the transmission fluid, which I'm not planning on doing. One is because the fluid hasn't even come in yet. I've ordered it on Amazon, which is the red line. And again, I was told you change that oil at 1,000 miles. The reason being because you want to go ahead and get that trans clean as much as possible. Obviously, it's brand new, so you don't know what kind of residue it is in there, what kind of, I shouldn't say garbage, but like dirt-wise and stuff from the factory. And people have recommended to change that at 1,000 miles, so that's what I'm planning on doing tomorrow. I'm sorry, not doing till possibly wintertime. And the reason why I'm going to wait until the wintertime is I am getting the diff rebuild, and I found somebody in Wisconsin that does it. He's well known in Supermania, so he's gonna be doing my rebuild of the diff, and I have the weir kit. So because I'm doing that, I'm gonna have to take the drive shaft out, and obviously that would be a good time to go ahead and drain the transmission and fill it in with a new fluid when I get the diff rebuilt and return back to me. So was planning on doing it along with the dry oil change and the spark plugs, but that's gonna be held until the winter time because I will be dropping my rear subframe to do the bushing. So that's a whole nother project. So got the carbon fiber out. Bought this from SP. It's actually used. I believe would belong to a customer, and I think the customer sold it to SP, and I bought it from SP. So it's a nice piece. Right, all 6 of them are out. Yep, that's how it looks. So let me show you guys. These are all 6 from left to right. So the right starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going left. So they're all about pretty much the same. There's no different in color-wise. The tip you notice on top of each of them, that's actually the, what is that? The grease for anti-seize grease. That's what that I put on the spark plugs, and I guess it went all the way to the top of each spark plugs. So yeah, not bad. So let me show you guys how I gap each plug. So take it out, just get this unloose all the way, get it out in there enough so you got the plug in, and then get the gauge in here, make sure it's in there nice, and just push it down, and you'll feel this like locked. It feels like it's locked. Don't overdo it, because you don't want to bend the gauge and then you're not properly gapping it. So This is good. And then I leave it for a second because obviously when I, if I were to just push it down and feel like it's tight and pull it back out, I've noticed that the tension gets released and the plug gets pushed back out, or the gap. So I just leave it for like about 5 seconds. This is just what I do. 5 second count and then undo it. And then you have that 0.20 gap. Again, if you were to get this tool and if you get that 0.20 gap, obviously you can not use that. You can use another gauge and just put it in there and just push it down just like that. And you can get that particular spec that you want. But I do 0.20. That's what it says. There you go. 0.0220. So I think people call it at 0.20. But yeah. So you get the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and get all the plugs gapped, and so I'll get them all lined up, and then I'll put some anti-grease on the air just because that way that it doesn't get stuck to the head from all the heat and stuff. Obviously, the 2J makes a lot of the block itself makes a lot of heat. So you guys can see the gap is very similar. I guess the one on the left is more open than the one on the right, so should feel. The car should feel a lot better when we go for a drive, and I have a thing for the car when we go for a drive. I'll show you guys exactly how the car drives and pulls. So let me go ahead and get all the other plugs gapped, and then we'll go from there. All right, guys, so I got all the spark plugs gapped to 0.020, or people could usually just says 0.20. And then I got a little bit of NTCs on there just because this is how I usually do it. So that way that from the heat, it doesn't get stuck onto the head. 2JZ does produce a lot of heat because of the iron block, and obviously it just runs hotter, in my opinion. So I like to put this on just a little bit, just a tap. So I did it for all 6. I'm gonna go ahead and start dropping these into the head. And then start getting tinies up. All done. Everything's wired in, and the valve PVC hoses are both in. Coil pack's completely tightened. Spark plugs are all in, brand new. And that's what I usually do. It's a lot much easier and faster with the car was being lowered and not on the jack stand, which is right now. The reason why is because I got to do an oil change, which we'll be doing that tomorrow morning. What I use for oil. Quickly talk about that. Now I get this filter from AutoZone. This is the part number. This is JZ series, and I believe it's a smaller version. It's a Toyota filter. It's a smaller version than I believe the size-wise, length-wise, for the 2J than you would get at a dealership, I believe. And I noticed this filter itself is very easy to install in a Mark III than the longer version. And then obviously it works the same. So I change it with every oil with the Toyota filter. And I believe this is with the spark plugs and the filter. Filter itself is $11. And with the spark plugs and stuff, they were $4.49. I was close. For 6, about $27. Now, price may vary depending on the area you live and state you live in. But this is down the street, and total came out to what, $41.72. So it's not bad for what I do 2 oil changes per year on this car, I believe. 1 in spring, and then obviously I don't drive as much. And then I want to do 1 after 1,000 miles. Usually around 1,000 to 1,500 miles. That's what I do, depending on the abuse, how much abuse I give. Have I rocked a whole season, summer season, on 1 oil change and 1 spark plugs? Yes, I have, because it all depends on how much I drive. Sometimes I don't get to drive often. Sometimes I do. So, yeah. See, this is all the cars or the motors this filter can go on. So, that's the part number. If you're wondering, this is what I get from AutoZone. Your AutoZone may have it or may not. So, keep in mind. And then, for oil, I do the mobile. It says high mileage on it. Ignore that. Obviously, it's fully synthetic. I do the 10W40. This is the only oil brand that's at Walmart, and that's what I put on before I got tuned. And it's fully synthetic, advanced full synthetic. So I do the heavyweight. I don't like to run the thin oil. It has a tendency to smoke a lot through the exhaust, or I have noticed in the past. This has been really well since last year, since I started rocking this. So this is what I rock, about 5.5 quarts, almost 6 quarts. That's what I put in the motor because of the turbo. So what I'm going to do in the morning is I'm going to go ahead and warm up the car just slightly for like a couple of minutes, and then turn the car off and then go ahead and drain the oil just to warm up the oil a little bit, just so it's nicely loose and comes out faster, and hopefully all of it almost. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this on, and then new filter on. And we'll go ahead and lower it, and we'll go for a drive and show you guys exactly how it drives, show you guys exactly how the trans feels, and then we'll do some boost pulls. Hopefully the mount that I got holds up. So stay tuned for this oil change tomorrow morning, and then we'll go from there, guys. Hey guys, welcome back. It's a following day. Like I mentioned, I was planning on doing an oil change. I did want to record the whole oil change process, but I mean, everybody knows exactly how to do an oil change. And yeah, so I wanted to take a minute to talk to you guys about this right here. And this is a Granny magnetic bolt for the oil pan for the 2JZ. As you can see, the top part, that's not metal, that's slug. And I've noticed that every time I do an oil change, that's it gets like that from all the gunk in the car. But I usually just, you know, inspect it a little bit, make sure there's no metal on it or anything like that. So, you know, that way I know at least the motor, there's no issues or anything like that. Highly recommend investing one of these. I think it's like $20, $25. But yeah, just wanted to show you guys, look how it looks. This is all from that one oil change from tune, and obviously abuse after it got tuned. So right now the oil is getting drained, and then I'm about to go ahead and take that filter out. I did notice a little bit of wetness underneath the oil filter and that housing, and I think it's from that cam sensor. I remember it was leaking, so I think it dripped down and got little, you see that little moisture, so I got on that. I not worried too much there. I don't think there's gonna be an issue, possibly oil leak. I think it was just there from the residue from that oil cam sensor, which I fixed months ago. But obviously I go ahead and inspect everything down here, make sure everything's good, there's no oil leaks or anything like that. Everything is the way it's supposed to be when I did the swap. So far so good, besides that residue there, so which I might clean up. But I'm about to go ahead and almost complete the oil change. I just got done draining, and then I just wanted to take a time to show you guys the bolt and the slug. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and break this down in a second to make sure there's no metal in it, and then go ahead and clean that up and install it, and then try to take that oil filter out without making a mess, and then get a new oil filter in there. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? So oil change and spark plugs are completely changed on the car. I got a very ghetto mount that I made for myself, that I got from Amazon, and this is how we're gonna go ahead and record my YouTube videos for the drivability. So I was gonna actually make 2 separate videos, obviously, to do the maintenance and do the driving and do some pulls and talk about the transmission, but I just feel like we're just gonna make this into a one long video. I'm gonna try to edit it as much as possible to make it smaller, but we'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the first startup. Since the maintenance is done, let me get this mount on here, make sure it's good. Hopefully this thing doesn't come out while I do some boost pulls, but I just got done making sure that the air pressure all around in the car is good, and the fuel pumps are completely on the back, and then everything in the front is good. So let's go. Forgot to check one thing. garage open a little bit just because of the exhaust smell. I'm gonna try to talk as loud as possible. I don't know exactly how much of it is gonna get picked up by the camera. I do want to make sure the water temp is around above 150 degree Fahrenheit. Right now it's at 89 and climbing. I do need to burn the gas, which is about 3/4 of it in the tank. Yeah, about 3/4 in the tank, and I got 70% ethanol content in the tank right now. The reason why I need to burn the tank and fuel as much as possible is because one, it's October, and I am going to be putting this car away to do more maintenance on this car, as well as I have E85, so I try not to leave E85 in the wintertime in the tank. So I do need to burn it as much as I possible, so I can go ahead and fill it up with pump gas. I'll let it warm up a little bit. It's acting up a little bit just because it's a cold start, and it is cold outside, and we got E85 in the tank. Obviously, when we got to it, it was done in the summertime. It's not, technically drivability. I don't know how much of it's gonna be perfect in the winter, in the cold weather. So that's why I want to let it warm up, so it's on the operating temps. But right now it's 129 Fahrenheit for the coolant, and then intake temp obviously is at 64. Let me just check one more thing. Check if there was any oil leaks from the oil change that I've done. I know there wasn't gonna be any, but I just like to double check, triple check, just a peace of mind, because we are gonna go for a drive. We are gonna do a couple of boost pulls. I am gonna do, let's see, so there's level 5s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Level 5 is where we stopped at, and that was at 29 psi, I believe. So, and that was at 55% content, ethanol content. So I know for a fact that when we if I do try to do a pull on level 5, it is going to not be at 29 psi, but it'll probably be more than 30 psi. So maybe we'll start off with high boost and see how, what I'll hit with the psi wise, and then we'll lower it down a little bit here and there and see, maybe do some highway pulls, or maybe we'll do, we'll start off small, which at the level 3, which will probably be around 20 psi plus, and we'll do like level 4 pulls, which will probably be around where safe zone will be like around high 25s to 30s psi. I'm gonna try to avoid not looking down here as much as possible while I'm doing some of these pulls, but let's go. It's so I got temperature, coolant temp is around 158. So I think we can get started, and then I do want to talk to you guys about the speedometer. So obviously I have the digital speedometer. When we get on the highway, obviously I'm gonna show you guys, and you should be able to read it on the camera too. So I'll have it up, and I'll talk to you guys exactly where the odometer is at mechanically, and then digitally we'll show and compare both of it to show you guys exactly how close it is reading mechanically and with the digital. And full disclaimer, all pulls are done in Mexico. YouTube, don't flag my shit. Ignore that yellow light that keeps flashing. It's the anti-lag brakes. I got rid of my ABS, obviously, which I thought ABS was an issue on my car but it was actually my rear brake lines that were pretty much collapsed. So I got removed the ABS because of that reason. Like I forgot to drive stick. I haven't driven this car in a while. There's a lot being going on on a personal level, which I'll mention to you guys in the towards the end of the video. Also, pay attention over here. You'll see a red light. That's a rev limiter indicator. Now I have it set up for 6,500 or 6,500 RPM. The car can go all the way up to 7,500. I just did it at 65 just to be safe. So let's talk about the trans. The trans is an amazing trans. The kit that Grannas has put together for our car is worth every single penny. My thing cost close to $8,000. That's me selling, and I made up all my money back, most of my money back from selling the R154, the 2JZ bell housing, the clutch, and all that stuff. And then obviously I've worked really hard and dumped a lot of money to make this all happen, obviously. The trans is very notchy, and I'm sure you will hear this from a lot of people who have, obviously created a video and, of themselves driving. It's a very notchy transmission, but it's very precise, and it holds the power compared to the R154. The R154, obviously, every time I took it for a drive, I'll be, if I'm going to boost, in back of my mind, it's like, am I gonna strip one of the gears, like either second, third, or fourth, from all the PSI, that the turbo is producing at whatever it's tuned for. But this transmission, I mean, it's great. Up a little bit, just to make sure the car can be able to, have some traction and understand the car before I start getting into the boost. Right now I'm in fourth gear. I'm at 2,500 RPM. I'm almost at 60 miles per hour. If I put it in fifth gear, I'm at 2,000 RPM. And if I put it into sixth, I'm at about 1,600 RPM at 60 miles per hour. Just so you guys get an idea exactly how much of a difference it is with the RPM compared to the R154, obviously. Alright, so we're going to do some level 4. I might see how I feel about level 5, but we're going to get on the highway right now. I'm going to try to see if I can pull over so we can do a roll start, nice pull. Hopefully we don't hit any traffic. I might try to pull over on the side, just make sure that the traffic clears up. And I'll roll the windows down. The car is almost at operating temperature. Obviously it's at 192 for the coolant temperature. Engine temperature is at 68. Oh, I'm sorry, 66. And then oil PSI, obviously it's bouncing around 60 to 70. So know for a fact that level 5 is going to be above 30 psi, and I will see how I feel later on if I want to turn it up all the way. But I hit above, I believe I hit 100 miles per hour. I wasn't paying attention. I'll look back on the video later, but as you see, I was hitting a red line. The rev limiter was bouncing off, so just so you guys give you an idea, it pulls pretty good. And it's pretty cold, so the tires are not all warmed up, but there is no issue with traction. But 29 psi. My coolant temp was max it reached was 199. Now it dropped down to 195, and my intake temps at 71 in this temperature, which is 64 degrees outside. Miles per hour on the highway. I'm at 24 to 2500 RPM. That just shows you how big of a difference it is compared to R154, and I don't know what the W58 is, obviously, but at 80 miles per hour, I was close to 2800 RPM on the R154, I believe it was. But if I lower it down to 28 to 80 miles per hour, I'm at about 21 to 2200 RPM. It's a huge difference. If you're really focused on, like, you know, if you're doing this as a daily driver, if you want this transmission for the daily driving purposes and you want to save, you know, gas and stuff, the RPMs will matter, obviously. And then, you know, you want to stay away from boost to, you know, help with the miles per gallon. But if this is a weekend car, I don't give a shit about miles per gallon. It's happiness as I do boost pulls, you know, in this E85. So just to guys give you an idea, I'm at 70 miles per hour. So it's saying 69. The indication on the mechanical on the odometer says 70. So it's like about a mile difference mechanically to the digital. Just to guys give you an idea. So the gear that I bought, I know there's, and I'll try to put the link in and put the description in the video. There is a gear set that you buy from a certain website for the transmission based off your diff and the size of your wheels. And based off that, you buy this certain gear. And then from Adam Grants, I don't know if he's still making it. You may have to personally reach out to him on Facebook. With that, you wire it in mechanically to the transmission to have your odometer to work. And I believe there is a video James Ward have made for mechanically. There's other devices to use to make the mechanical odometer in our car to work. And I believe that utilizes first. This Tesla wants to cut me off, and there's a lady not paying attention. Like I was saying, James Ward has a kit, I believe, for our car for the, going from a digital readout to a mechanical readout for this mechanical odometer in our car to work. So you might want to reach out to him personally, so that way that if you're planning on doing, having an odometer to work, you can go that route, or you can reach out to Adam Grants, obviously. And I'll try to put the link in the description for the gear that I bought, so that way you can go the route that I went and have your odometer work, so that way that, it reads as you're driving. on this other section of the highway. And I'm not trying to read out. I know some of you guys who are watching who are from Illinois know exactly, or I'm sorry, Mexico, know exactly what roads I'm taking. I'm hoping that I do have some kind of opening here just so you guys can see. I might turn it up maybe just on level 5 just to see if there is no traffic. We can just hit a little bit. I'll put the window down. I mean, anything you do to this trans, as in throwing gears wise, I mean, it is handling without an issue. And I would hope that you know how to drive a manual car before you do the swap. And, you know, obviously trying to beat on it. And the clutch setup that I went with, the Tilton, the 246, I mean, it's a great freaking transmission. And I went from a Clutch Masters transmission, which was literally like I can push that transmission with my toe. I mean the clutch pedal with my toe. Hit 26 psi and I was at like 100 miles per hour like that. So I'm hitting a lot of traffic. I'm probably going to be sitting in this traffic for a while. So I'll probably edit this part out as and then probably add in some more boost pulls. But there are 2 videos that me and my buddy Art did. And he was driving my car. We did level 5 and I believe level 3. And you can see exactly how fast the odometer's, you know, going up. And yeah, I just, you know, the transmission's great. It drives great. It feels great. It handles the power without any issues. If you're planning on doing the Grannas kit, if you're thinking about doing a 6-speed swap in your car, and if you're deciding whether to do the CD009 from the Nissan 350Z or another T56 and not do the Grannas route, I highly recommend don't waste your money on that. Spend the money on the Grannas kit. He gives you everything you need to do the swap on this car. It is literally a bolt-on, and it goes in the factory section. Like, look at this. This looks like it came from factory. It's a very easy install. Obviously, I post previous videos of the swap, you know, obviously how I did the installation and everything. If you have questions, reach out to me. I can answer it. I'd be happy to answer it. It's worth every single penny to do this swap. With that being said, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy a little bit of pulls here and there. I don't want to do more pulls here because I know there's usually have state before. I'm hoping that I don't hit anybody, any traffic here. I do notice there's a car on my left. I'm sorry, my right. All right, one. Exactly what PSI I hit there. I'm sure it's about 30 PSI for sure. The temperatures are low. It's slowly dropping. So I'm kind of getting scared a little bit. Obviously, there is traffic. I don't want to do dumb things. The last pool was what, 110, 120, and I hit 30 psi, 31 psi. It's still there. So that's it, guys. I think that's pretty much it for a while. I just want to be able to go ahead and cruise and drive home. Thanks for watching. I'll get this video uploaded today. If you have any questions,